that, it should still feel fairly warm in any brightness. A changeable picture though as we go through the rest of the week. A lot of cloud around in general, but in any sunshine it will still feel pretty warm.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello, good evening. It's 9 p.m. I'm Ben Leo. Tonight.
They don't share our values, they don't respect women, and they do not respect children. Yes! Yes!
Migrant hotels are being kept secret from you because of privacy concerns for migrants. What is the government hiding from us?
Well, now, starting to think, that the UK is a bit of a dump.
Private patrols in Bedford. A local businessman steps in where he says police have failed. But is it civil action or just a political stunt? And Labour's proposal for an official definition of Islamophobia could hand Reform UK and Nigel Farage a 100-seat majority at the expense of Labour. That's according to a new poll. And... Yes, that's what we've descended to in the UK. Turmoil at Highgrove, why nearly all of King Charles' gardeners have quit. Maybe they've been growing their own vegetables. And what a formal investigation uncovered about life behind the royal hedges. Joining me this evening on my panel, political commentator Samuel Sweek, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and the businessman and activist Adam Brooks. And here's a Sunday night challenge for you. Can you tell me whether this video is AI or reality? I'll be putting the panel to the test later in the show. A big few hours coming up, including the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. First, though, let's get your news headlines.
Good evening. The latest headlines from the GB newsroom. At least 67 Palestinians have been killed and dozens more injured by Israeli fire as they waited for UN aid trucks in northern Gaza. Authorities say it's one of the highest reported number of deaths among repeated recent cases where Israeli troops target aid seekers, including 36 people that were killed yesterday. Israeli military claimed troops fired warning shots towards a crowd of thousands to remove what it called an immediate threat. But the UN said 25 trucks carrying food aid were approaching massive crowds of hungry civilians when they came under fire. It comes as Israel issued new evacuation orders for areas in Gaza packed with displaced people. The Football Association is in contact with the police after Lioness Jess Carter has revealed she's experienced racial abuse throughout the Euros. The 27-year-old will be taking a step back from social media to focus on the rest of the tournament. The England team said they won't take the knee before Tuesday's semi-final against Italy, saying it's clear football need to find another way to tackle racism. Teammate Lucy Bronze is calling on social media companies to crack down on the abuse. The Environment Secretary has called the level of sewage pollution in the UK disgusting and pledged to cut incidents in half by the end of the decade. It's the first time the government has set a clear target on the issue. On Friday, the Environment Agency revealed that serious pollution incidents across England increased by 60% last year compared with 2023. The Independent Water Commission's landmark review into the failing water sector is set to be released tomorrow morning. Steve Reid told GB News the Labour Party will revolutionise the industry.
We banned the payment of unfair multi-million-pound bonuses to water bosses. We brought in £104 billion of private sector investment that started to be spent this April to upgrade and replace those crumbling water pipes and sewage pipes. And tomorrow I will get a report from Sir John Cunliffe that I asked him to compile about how we change the rules that govern the water companies so we can have a water revolution in this country.
Rail services between London and South Essex have become publicly owned for the first time since the 20th century. The government has nationalised the operator C2C, which runs services between Fenchurch Street and Southend. It had been controlled by Italy's state-owned rail company Trenitalia since 2017, but now it's part of Great British Railways. And a D-Day veteran who became a social media star in his later years has died at the age of 102. Papa Jake Larson survived German gunfire in the June 1944 landings and garnered 1.2 million followers, sharing his stories on TikTok. His granddaughter Michaela shared the news of his death, saying he went peacefully and was cracking jokes until the very end. Those are the latest headlines. More for you in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening to you. Thanks for your company. The establishment didn't want you knowing about the Afghan leak because they know you wouldn't have accepted it. And they're not telling you the truth about the number of migrant hotels opening either because they know communities won't stand for it. In fact, they don't want to tell you about anything that's going on because the truth is they value young men from third world countries more than they do you at home. Some would call that betrayal. This is today's Sunday Telegraph, headlined, "Migrant hotels are kept secret because of privacy concerns." The story reads, Newcastle City Council said that it could not inform residents that a city centre hotel was being used by the Home Office to house migrants, saying, "We would not share a resident's personal information with other residents unless we had specific legal reasons to do so." The council suggested the Home Office would be bound by the same rules. Very good. This kind of deceit is only causing division and anger. British people should be consulted, or at least informed, out of basic courtesy, I argue. If they're going to have hundreds of strange men from faraway lands, moving into their communities. Because the truth is, these people come from countries that are totally incompatible with Western life, not least in the way they view women and girls. Just look at what's happening at the Bell Hotel in Epping Forest in Essex, where an asylum seeker allegedly sexually assaulted a local teenager. Even the mums down there are now turning far right.
Why are you letting 500-600 undocumented men come across the channel every day into this country? We don't know who they are, we don't know what their background is, but they don't share our values, they don't respect women, and they do not respect children. Yes! Yes!
She's probably on some anti-terror watch list by now, I suspect. But anyway, it was only in March that the Daily Telegraph revealed Afghans and Eritreans were more than 20 times likely to account for sexual offence convictions than British citizens. That's according to Ministry of Justice data. And overall, foreign nationals were 71% more likely than Britons to be responsible for sex convictions. Well, let's forget sex offenders for a moment, shall we? What about this story in The Sun on Sunday today, where a pair of asylum seekers have been caught making porn videos in a migrant hotel to sell on the sex website OnlyFans. A Syrian man was discovered having sex with a female migrant on camera by shocked hotel staff during a room inspection at a hotel in Blackpool. A former manager of the hotel told The Sun the guy had a whole setup, a camera on a tripod at the end of the bed, sex toys everywhere. It was pretty obvious what was happening. Well, I guess that gives Smash the Gangs a whole new meaning. So with that in mind, can you imagine the kind of arrogance and contempt the state has for the British public, to continue opening these hotels without so much as a heads up to worried communities? They don't give a damn about us. In Altrincham, near Manchester, residents complained that there was an information vacuum about a hotel that opened there. In West Oxfordshire, the council has in the past complained that even councillors were not informed about plans to move in migrants. And Tower Hamlets, the London borough with the largest Bangladeshi population in the UK, told the Daily Telegraph that we do not announce when asylum seeker hotels are stood up in the borough, nor do we announce when a refugee comes. There are now thought to be more than 200 asylum hotels across the UK, housing some 32,000 migrants at a projected cost of, get this, £15 billion by 2029, 5 times the annual cost of our nuclear deterrent. For 15 billion quid of your money, I don't think it's too much to ask that the government at least tells me and you who the hell is moving next door to us. Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel now, the political commentator Samuel Sweek, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and the businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Good evening, panel. Welcome along. Chloe, ladies first. We're not being told about migrant hotels. Does this surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because, as you've listed out there are plenty of cases where the government will hide from us the truth because it's convenient for them to do so. Now, I can understand there being some logic in that they don't want to endanger the migrants that are being put in those hotels by telling everyone and then there being a big protest or potentially a riot. But I think that it's almost the same as with the grooming gangs where we say, oh, we're going to keep this quiet because we don't want to stir up community tensions. People deserve to know the truth, even if that comes with an element of safety concerns, for sure. And I think, quite rightly, people are absolutely furious across this country and were furious in Epping, not just about that sexual assault that happened, but generally the country is furious about people just being plonked in communities, not being told. You've got parents whose kids would say normally they'd feel safe sending them walking to school by themselves if they're old enough, and now they can't do that. Now they're terrified to let their kids outside the door. It's completely unfair.
Adam, you've been down to that Bell Hotel protest in recent days. What's it like? A
lot of anger. I'm an Epping Forest district resident.
Yeah.
This hotel is 2 miles from my house.
Was the community told it was going to be made into a migrant hotel?
Well, no, it was closed under the Conservatives as a migrant hotel and reopened in the spring via Labour. I think the Express newspaper even did an article on it reopening, saying how many problems there'd been in the past. As a local resident, I'd like to know if there was a risk assessment. It is hundreds of metres from a school.
Do you think there was a risk assessment?
Well, there must be a freedom of information request by someone, surely, to find out if they assessed that there was a risk to school children. There have been allegations of not only sexual assault, like we've seen. Local women have told me there are allegations of groups of drunk men, migrants, thieving from the local Tesco's and getting drunk in the forest. There are allegations of intimidation, of harassment, of flashing women in the forest. This isn't on. Residents need to be safe in their own in their own town, and especially school children must be safe going to and from school. Now, these migrant hotels, there was some serious data released this week. There has been 18 charges of rape. There has been 5 attempted rapes charged in these hotels, 89 assaults, 43 drug offences, 16 charges of robbery, and 18 for burglary. They're just the ones that have been reported.
Was that the story in The Sun from Friday, I think, or Saturday?
I got this off of Matt Goodwin.
Yeah.
So those figures from The Sun, they've gone off the basis of the just over 100 migrant hotels that they know of. They've gone through everyone that's been in the magistrates' courts and matched those up. Given that we know the number of hotels is about double that, the figures are probably double what Adam said, which is scary.
Samuel, with all this in mind, this is, I mean, the kind of figures that Adam just relayed there, the stories that we mentioned in the introduction there, do you not think it's at least courteous of the government, of the state, to tell communities, to tell British people, their families and their children, oh, hi, guys, by the way, even if we don't ask you permission, we're just going to let you know out of courtesy that we're going to install a migrant hotel here?
I mean, with that said, I mean, yeah, I can understand people's frustration that they haven't been consulted and there hasn't been these conversations, and what could be used to, say, a tourist asset in their local communities is being used by the Home Office to house refugees and people who have come to this country. But with that said, I think we also do need to ensure that we safeguard and adequately protect the people who are, obviously, bear in mind, have no proper income, have no actual real place to go in this country. You know, they're incredibly vulnerable, with that said, and their safety also has to be protected. Look, I don't think that anybody, including myself in this, wants to see people holed up in hotels the whole time. I think that's completely inadequate. I think that's inadequate for communities, but I think that's also wholly inadequate for the people who have come to this country. There needs to be a complete reset as to how we look at supporting people in this who have come to this country. And that must look at housing, and that must also look at allowing people to work, to actually contribute, to not be holed up in these places.
I'm not sure what kind of message that sends to channel migrants, saying, come here, you get freebies, you'll get benefits. Oh, by the way, you can work as well whilst your asylum claim is processed. But in the meantime, do you not think that the government should be telling people when these hotels pop up?
I mean, look, I think, as I said, it's completely inadequate that this is the situation these people find themselves in. But what I would say as well, we have to look at, again, the safety.
OK, sorry. But what about the safety of the girls?
No, of course.
Women and girls.
Here's a better question.
Why are we always just focused on the safety of the migrants and their human rights?
Girls matter more. Girls matter more. There are residents that will... One second. There are girls that are not allowed to walk to school now in Epping because their parents are fearful of what is going to come their way. That is shameful. It's 2025 in Britain, and we are allowing families to be worried for their children just going to school.
Adam, but what I would say as well, we're no more than 12 months away from people trying to burn down a hotel which housed migrants in this
Well, let me just tell you, that is disgusting.
It's not about trading one thing off against the other. We have to ensure the safeguard of all communities, but also we have to look after the people who have come and are in...
Are you aware that a man has been charged that was living at that hotel for 2 hotel fires, tried to burn them both down? It's alleged, obviously, he's been charged. He hasn't been found guilty yet.
That's not every single person, is it?
Can I ask you, Samuel?
Yeah.
Why do you think the government and the state isn't telling communities these hotels are popping up?
It's a very good question. But what I would say, I think...
Any idea on the answer?
Not really. No, I think it's a tinderbox of an issue. You know, it's incredibly divisive. You know, there are people who, frankly, do not want people to come to this country at all, even if they're fleeing poverty, prosecution, and war. And there are people on the other side who believe that, in fact, we should be supporting, as a developed nation, we should be supporting.
Would you agree it potentially creates more concern in tinderbox atmospheres when you just install these hotels into communities, hundreds of strange people installed into communities without... Would you agree that creates even more concern and worry amongst Brits?
I think there's the tendency for that to happen when you have people who are going to agitate and are willing to stir up those tensions. I'm not saying that's everybody who has concerns, because there are, of course, legitimate concerns. But what I would say is we need to watch out for people who do have an agenda and are happy to push that agenda, and that's what led us to those riots last year. And I think that that's something that needs to be wholly avoided. And I can see the very tough situation that councils and the government do put themselves in. And I do obviously sympathise with people who do not feel safe in their communities now. But I think that the government and councils have a responsibility to ensure the safety of all people in their communities, whether they be full-time residents or whether they be living in a hotel.
I mean, they keep on putting up these hotels without telling people in the most ludicrous places. So, I mean, Adams mentioned the Epping one is near a school.
Yeah.
Altrincham in Manchester, that was opened up right by both a primary school and an all-girls school. And then I had a mother from Rotherham tell me that they opened up about 6 to 8 migrant hotels there in a community where girls are terrified enough because of the grooming gangs to walk the streets, and they put one right by a school. Why do they keep putting them by schools? Do you think if it's at least they should tell us if they're going to put it near a school? Surely they should be consulting parents.
Look,
Completely unacceptable for them not to do so.
And this is why I believe that there needs to be more care taken by councils and the government to integrate people properly and allowing people to work and not just be stuck pinned down in communities.
What war are they fleeing from in Pakistan? Could you tell me?
There's instability in Pakistan.
Instability is not the British taxpayers' problem. Why should we pay for them to come here because they don't like where they live, or they want more money, or they want a house?
That case at all. No, I mean there's incredibly repressive regimes and governments and militias.
So should we take everyone around the world, the millions around there that are not liking where they live?
What's happening though, is it? Though,
well,
there is a refugee crisis.
They will come to the country that gives them the most, and that is us.
The sad reality is that there are millions and millions, if not billions, of people in this world that live in A, extreme poverty, and B, very dangerous countries. And I hate to break it to you, but we cannot save all of them. We can't take the whole world into Britain. It's not the solution, and especially when that comes at the cost of our safety and a huge bill for the taxpayer, it's just not viable.
Samuel, can I ask, finally, before we move on, what do you make of the stats from the Telegraph in March showing that Afghans and Eritreans were 20 times more likely than Brits to be convicted of sex offences?
You obviously know I've not seen that data beyond that headline there, but obviously that is incredibly shocking. But sexual assaults and sexual offences are prominent and disgusting in every single country they happen in, and it's inadequate in this country.
Correct. So why would we import more? We have enough scumbags in this country as it is.
But that's a straw man argument to Adam.
No, it isn't. Why should we be importing people?
Person who comes into this country is a sexual offender.
We are allowing people with a disproportionate amount of sexual offences to come into this country. Is that true or not via those figures?
Again, I've only seen the top line.
Well, just taking my word on it, it's true. It's a Daily Telegraph article based on FOI requests from the Ministry of Justice, showing Afghans and Eritreans are 20 times more likely to be convicted of sex offences in this country than Brits.
But with the government's data, it's over 85% of sexual offences in this country are committed by British people.
Well, probably because there's more British people here.
Proportionality.
It's per capita.
No, I understand what you're saying there, but I'm just saying.
Right, so Samuel, with respect, mate, that is a completely non-comment because you're.
Is it? Because I'm saying that there is no correlation between your nationality.
It's per capita.
But there's no correlation between your nationality and your likelihood to commit a sexual
I've just told you the
offence.
stats, Samuel.
Let's just think about this logically, even if you question that stat. If you grow up in a country where the norm is consent isn't really a thing, girls get married off at the age of about 12, rapes are very, very common, criminality is very common because there's not really much government, and so places just run with, criminal gangs. Do you not think that someone who's grown up in that environment might at least be a little bit more likely to commit a sexual assault or rape?
Yeah, I think there's nuances, and I think there's a lot that needs to be considered with that, but I don't for 1 second buy the line that somebody is predisposed to be a rapist because of where they were born.
No, and that's not the case. But again, we cannot keep importing people that we do not know their criminal histories. We do not know their motives for coming here. That is our argument.
Yeah.
OK?
OK, apparently the establishment's intent behind withholding the Afghan leak wasn't to keep the public in the dark. They argue it was to protect lives by preventing the Taliban from discovering the data. And it was, in fact, the MOD and the new Labour government at the time from last year who did seek that to lift the super injunction, but there we go. Right, up next, private patrols in Bedford. That's private police-style security patrols in Bedford. A local businessman steps in where he says police have failed. But is it civic action or, as some people, who I disagree with actually, are suggesting, a political stunt? More on that in just a tick. This is Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Hang tight for just 30 seconds. I'll be speaking to the entrepreneur who's personally funding a pilot project in his town in Bedford to fund private security, because he reckons the police are just so, currently naff, to be frank. In the meantime, hang tight. There's just 2 weeks remaining in our Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash. You could fund your own private security. Here's all the details you need to win.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win our biggest cash prize so far. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British Giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, a Bedford businessman and entrepreneur is funding private security patrols in his town centre every Saturday this August. This is him. Peter McCormack says police have utterly failed to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour, calling the move a civic response. But Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner has slammed it as a political stunt, arguing that public safety is the job of accountable authorities, quote unquote. A public meeting will be held on July 24th at Rail Coffee to discuss the scheme's future. And the man himself joins me now, the host of the Peter McCormack Show, Peter himself. Peter, good evening. Thanks for joining me. Nice to see you at pretty much Bitcoin all-time highs as well. Which comes on to my next question. How are you going to fund this pilot private security scheme, and why are you doing it? I understand you think the police have just utterly failed in their duty.
Yeah, hi Ben. Thanks for having me. Funding it just myself. I'll be paying for it. It's £2,000 a day to do it every Saturday in August, so that's fine. No, not a problem. And why am I doing it? Well, look, like pretty much every town up and down the country, we've seen this sad and slow decline. Shops are closing. We've got an increase in the type of shops that you don't really want, and a fall in the type of shops you would really want. We have a growth in addiction problems, shoplifting, antisocial behaviour. I own 2 businesses in the town centre, so I see it myself. I see it on a daily basis, and in doing so, I speak to locals. I chat to people who come into the town and those who don't come into town. The common response is one of 2 things: either they call it, and I'll use my language carefully because of your show, but an S-hole. Or they say, I don't feel safe. My girlfriend, she has a son, and she said he feels very unsafe coming into the town. So there's this just gradual, slow decline. We see it all up and down the country. And so I thought I'll run a pilot project and just see if it makes a difference. And if it does, then find a way to continue that project.
So tell us how it will look like on the ground then. How many blokes will you have patrolling the town centre? What can and can't they do? For example, can they stop shoplifters? Are they up for doing that? Just tell us how it will work.
Yeah, so it might not just be blokes. The security firm I use, Belmont Security, they also provide security at the bar I own. They have women who work for them as well. So it'll be 10 people deployed in the town. We will provide 3 security at the main car park in the town on each entrance, because the car park is frequented by people who have addiction issues, and we don't want people running that gauntlet coming into town, especially if it's a mother with children. We will also deploy them in areas which are known for common drug dealing and drug use. They won't be interfering with that. I've been very clear that's not something they'll get involved in, but they will have CCTV cameras and they will carry CCTV themselves, and we'll report that to the police. In terms of what they'll do, look, my expectation is hopefully very little. Hopefully their presence is enough. They do have the power. They do have statutory powers that we do have as citizens to protect people and property. Hopefully they won't have to use it. My fear is that they're put in a situation where they're tested and it's used as an excuse to have a backlash, which would be very, very sad.
Yeah.
But there are statutory powers we have. The Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, that gives us the power to deal with people who commit an indictable offence. Again, I hope they don't have to use it, but we will understand what is the law, what is not the law, and we certainly won't be asking people to break the law.
All right, sounds good. Well, look, Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner slammed it as a political stunt, which kind of reminded me of some of the weird backlash Robert Jenrick got when he did the tube fare dodgers thing. You know, he was just filming people jumping the barriers, and all of a sudden they turn it on him and somehow he's doing something wrong. What do you make of the comment from the Police and Crime Commissioner there?
Well, look, it's an embarrassment, and I think he should resign. I met with John Tizard. I sat down with him and asked him, what is the issue? Why are you not able to make the town centre safe? So he's met me. He knows what my intentions are. My intention is to protect the people of Bedford. Calling a political stunt is very strange. I'm not a politician. I just want safety to the town. But if anything, the funny thing is I put the police on notice. I warned them. I can't remember what it was, maybe a month or 2 ago. I said, look, if you don't fix this, I will. I put them on notice. Since then, I've seen 2 police patrols in town, significant patrols, and each time they're followed by people with cameras who are recording it for social media. So if anything is a political stunt, it's the time they send the police to the town with cameras for PR and social media.
Yeah.
So look, it's an absolute embarrassment that somebody whose job it is there to protect the town is calling something that brings safety a political stunt. He should resign. He's an embarrassment to the town.
OK, I'm going to bring my panel in. I think Adam Brooks wants to maybe ask you a question. Adam, I understand you've got your own private security in your neighbourhood.
There's a private security firm that I hire for my house, and other neighbours do as well. And funny enough, that private security company has been quicker to respond than local police in some instances. So it's a good tool if you can afford to do that. What I like about what you're doing there is you're placing bodies in a town centre. One of my kids is getting to the age now where they're allowed out. So if a kid that was in distress or was in trouble was to run to one of your security staff, what would they do?
Well, it depends on who the person is and the scenario, but this is a licensed and experienced security firm. They know what they're doing. If somebody comes to them in a situation, I can't answer that to you now because I'm not a licensed security guard, but they will use their experience to deal with that scenario. My assumption is the majority of the time is that we would reach out to the police. So we've spoken to the police and we've contacted them and said, look, we want to work with you on this. And I want to be as clear as possible. Whilst I'm critical of the police, it's not the police officers I'm critical of. It's the hierarchy which operates the police and the government, which has chronically underfunded them for years. The police officers in Bedford are great. They do a great job, but there's not enough of them. You go into a town centre, you maybe see 1 or 2 a day, but you see relentless issues. So look, if a youngster goes to one of our security people and says, I need help, all I can say is they will use the best judgment in that scenario. I can't answer what that scenario is because you haven't told me.
No, that's right.
But I can't tell you how they would react to it because I'm not a trained security guard.
That's good to know that there's further eyes and there's further sort of support for these youngsters in towns. That's great.
Chloe's got a quick... We're just strapped for time. Chloe's got a question, if you don't mind, Peter.
Do you think that these private security guards, will they run into the same issue that police face, which is a fear of stepping in because they're worried about being called racist or being accused of something when everyone films everything these days?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we have a race issue in Bedford where I am. We have an issue of people buying and selling crack cocaine and heroin and taking it one street from the high street. We have an issue of young women being assaulted in the town. We have an issue of people feeling unsafe. We don't have a race issue in Bedford. Despite these race issues up and down the country, Bedford's a pretty well-integrated town. We have a large Indian community, we have a large Polish community, large Italian community, and I don't actually see the integration issues up and down the country. Our main issue is we have a remand prison, and we're putting people on the streets who come out of the remand prison with no money, and all they're doing is that they're getting involved with the local group of degenerates, buying drugs, taking them, stealing from the local shops. So, no, that's not an issue I see. Our security team is mixed. We have a mix of racial backgrounds. It's not even something I've thought about because it's not an issue we face in the town.
OK, and one last question from Samuel, Peter, if you don't mind.
Yeah, very quickly. So I would say, say, for example, a hypothetical situation, one of your people sees somebody committing, say, criminal damage, and I presume then what? Do they have the power to... I mean, isn't the person going to tell them basically just to bugger off, or is that person's job going to be to call the police and then wait there? Isn't that just adding like an extra layer to it? And with that said, wouldn't the money be better to sort of be funding into community projects to prevent addiction and to stop people from committing small-time crimes?
OK, Peter?
Yeah, sorry, excuse me for answering the way I'm about to answer this, but I watched the previous session where you took a bit of a hiding. The main issue is over-worrying about progressive and liberal issues. Security comes from firm decisions. Our guys will be trained. Our guys will have a clear set of rules and a clear relationship with the police. If you understand addiction issues,
though, just to be clear.
Look, you have to understand what the statutory powers and the common law powers that we have citizens have. They can operate within them, and that's within the law. You talk about addiction issues. Look, I would suggest read Michael Schellenberger's San Francisco. You have to deal with both carrot and stick. Some people deal with carrot, some people deal with stick. And I would recommend that you go and read that and understand the issues. If we always come from the point of empathy, then we have that suicidal kind of empathy that exists that degrades society because we worry about the minority who ruin it for the majority.
OK.
I understand where you're coming from, but...
Yeah, nice one. Peter, thank you. Sorry to push you there. We are just strapped for time. It's a great pilot. I look forward to seeing how you get on. Please let me know at the end of August you'll have some good data and a report, I guess, on how it all went. Good luck to you, my friend, and we'll chat soon. Peter McCormack. We did contact the police and the council and the Police and Crime Commissioner regarding the issue, and we are still waiting a response. When we get it, we'll deliver it to you. Right, coming up, President Donald Trump heads to Scotland next week. Meetings, trade talks and tight security on the menu as protests loom ahead of his trip to 2 golf courses across the border. This is Ben Leo's Tonight, only on GB News.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's a bit of a mixed picture across Europe over the next couple of days, with plenty of showers around across parts of France, even northern parts of Italy too. Maybe even Madeira and the Canary Islands catching 1 or 2 isolated showers. But for parts of Spain, Portugal, Italy, even parts of Greece, there's plenty of sunshine on offer. And the southern Mediterranean seeing plenty of that sunshine, though perhaps a little breezy. Temperatures generally in the low to mid 30s and similar through the outlook as well. Plenty of sunshine on the cards and feeling very warm.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. After an unsettled and showery weekend, not a lot will change as we go into Monday, so further heavy downpours and some persistent spells of rain, courtesy of this area of low pressure that's not really moving anywhere over the next day or two, so it's going to maintain that unsettled flavour to the weather with some showers or longer spells of rain. For Sunday evening, the heaviest rain and most persistent rain will be across southern parts of Scotland, moving into Northern Ireland through the early hours as well. So it's here where we're most concerned about some flooding. There are warnings in place, so do check our website or app for further details on those. Heavy showers across the southeast of England as well later in the night, but not a cold night. Temperatures, generally speaking, holding up in the mid to high teens Celsius. So for Monday, it's going to be an unsettled start to the new working week, particularly across the southeast of England, where there'll be some pretty heavy downpours moving in from the south, so some thunderstorms already perhaps possible here. Sunny and dry conditions across parts of the Midlands, eastern parts of Wales, but further north and west, we run into that heavier rain for parts of Northern Ireland, western and southwestern Scotland, with some rain also across the far northeast of Scotland too. So not many places escaping with much in the way of dry weather first thing, and it's going to stay pretty changeable and unsettled through the course of Monday as well. That rain lingers across parts of western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and parts of southwest England for much of the day. Further east, it's a mixture of sunny spells and sudden heavy downpours, some thundery downpours too, some hail and gusty winds, but nonetheless in between the showers, in the sunshine, it should feel quite warm with temperatures in the mid-20s. For Tuesday, we're not expecting it to be quite as unsettled. Having said that, it will be fairly cloudy. There will be some showers around in places and perhaps some longer spells of rain across western parts of Scotland and northwest England. But despite that, it should still feel fairly warm in any brightness. A changeable picture though as we go through the rest of the week. A lot of cloud around in general, but in any sunshine, it will still feel pretty warm.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Now, President Donald Trump has confirmed visits to Turnberry and Aberdeen later this month in Scotland. That's ahead of a state visit in September. He'll meet the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, and Scotland's First Minister, with trade talks on the agenda. He's also opening a golf course up there. Security preparations are now underway and protests, obviously, are expected. Well, I'm joined now by a man who didn't want Donald Trump to come on that state visit next month, Labour peer Lord George Faulks. Lord Faulks, good evening. Nice to have your company. What do you make of...
Lovely to be back with you again.
I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to this all day. Why didn't you want President Trump in the UK to have a state visit next month, Lord Faulks?
No, we didn't say that.
And address the Parliament, sorry.
As I said, we didn't want him to address Parliament.
Yeah.
We think that the government has to deal with it, unfortunately for them, but they have to deal with whoever is head of state in whatever country, whether we like what they're doing or not. But Parliament is a different thing because he doesn't respect democracy in the way that we have it here. Thankfully, when he comes on his state visit, I think diplomatically, Parliament won't be sitting. So that situation doesn't arise.
That's convenient, isn't it? Did you think that was coincidental, Lord Faulks, or are MPs being a bit cowardly?
No, I think it was a very diplomatic move by the government. But he's coming to Scotland, and this is a real worry. Next weekend. First of all, he's going to keep the Scottish police busy all the time. It's going to cost us a huge amount of money, and it's going to distract them from all the other things that the police, you've been talking about police earlier, what the police ought to be doing. And that's really unfortunate. The other unfortunate thing is that he's going to be playing golf. He's over here. Most of the time he'll be playing golf at Turnberry. I used to represent Turnberry in Parliament. It was in my constituency, and then he'll be playing golf up in Aberdeen. And meanwhile, he said he was going to solve the situation in Gaza, and more people are being killed in Gaza. He should be concentrating on that and not playing golf in his golf courses around the world.
Well, he's not here to play golf. He's actually opening a new course at his Aberdeen course. So they've opened a second course, which is bringing in millions and millions of pounds to the local community. He's a businessman. He owns businesses in Scotland. He provides money to the GDP of Scotland and, indeed, jobs to the local area. So, I mean, should he not be doing that?
Oh, no, that's welcome. And local people have said that. It's a new golf course in Aberdeen. But I bet you, Ben, he will be playing golf. Would you like to put some money on it?
Wouldn't you? If you were going to open one of your new golf courses, surely you'd play a round of golf.
He'll be playing golf. But I think there are more important things to do. And it's going to take up a huge amount of police time.
Right.
And that is
Should
really
he not come then, do you think? Do you think he should not come in with that in mind?
I think it would be better that he didn't. I mean, his son came recently to Aberdeen. And he's the businessman. He's the one who's looking after the golf courses, and I think Donald Trump should leave it to him. And he could come here with less fuss and less cost. And Donald Trump should be getting on with what he's paid to do, which is being president of the United States.
Got it. Lord Foulkes, can I just go back to the previous, the start of our conversation, talking about the recess? Donald Trump is here on the state visit in September. Conveniently, as I said, Parliament goes into recess the day before. So some would argue MPs have done a runner. You said that it was good diplomatic timing from the government. So you think that's intentional, do you, the date of the state visit?
I think it's been carefully arranged.
Because Downing Street said this week that it had absolutely no recollection on Donald Trump's visit whatsoever. They completely denied it was connected in any way. So you think that's not entirely true?
I'm not saying it's untrue. I'm just saying that these things are carefully arranged. The diplomats understand these things, and they know that if Donald Trump had been here and they'd arranged for him to address Parliament, it would have been very unwise. There would have been a huge boycott. It would have been very embarrassing.
Yeah, you wrote to the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, saying that Donald Trump shouldn't address Parliament. What's your issue, really, with Trump addressing MPs?
Because he doesn't respect democracy. He doesn't respect women. He is a misogynist. I could give a half a dozen reasons why elected members of the House of Commons and members of the House of Lords don't want to listen to what he has to say. And I must say, I doubt if he could talk coherently for more than a few minutes. He rambles on all the time.
Well, some would argue he's a pretty good public speaker, actually. He rarely uses autocue. But, Lord Foulkes, let me just ask you, I mean, you're obviously not a fan of Donald Trump, but your old boss, Tony Blair, who I believe he gave you a peerage, didn't he, initially? Was it in the early 2000s? I mean, he welcomed the likes of Gaddafi to the UK on a state visit. He even gave Gaddafi a phone call at the height of the Libyan uprising in 2011, trying to offer him an off-ramp out of the country. So, I mean, who's worse, Gaddafi or Donald Trump?
Well, I say governments have to deal with all sorts of people, and Keir Starmer will be dealing directly and has dealt very effectively, as it happens, with Donald Trump. And we've got a very good trade deal because of the way Keir Starmer has dealt with Donald Trump. And then Keir Starmer has to deal with the president of China. And we're not very enthusiastic about the communist regime in China. He has to deal with all sorts of people. That's the job of government. But Parliament's a different thing.
Do you not think MPs, though, I mean, if I was an MP and we've got a problem on the southern border with the small boats, the illegal migrants, the USA had the same problem on their southern border. Donald Trump has stopped that problem by up to 90%. All crossings pretty much have stopped overnight. Do you not think if you were an MP, or at least I would anyway, I'd think, well, hang on a minute, I don't particularly like this guy or what he said in the past, but maybe I could get some sage wisdom from him about how to stop, for example, an invasion of a country's southern border. Do you not think MPs, being the high-grade people they are, would think along those lines?
Well, we're actually making some progress on that. We've sent thousands of people back already. The number of people living in hotels...
Not small boat migrants.
The number of people living in hotels has reduced by 30%. We've had an agreement with France and Germany, which will have effect...
Yeah, but they're up 40%, Lord Foulkes, in the last year.
They will have an effect over the next few weeks. And that's why we are doing something. Unlike Mr Farage, who is all talk... Did you hear him on the programme this morning when asked questions about privatisation, nationalisation of water and about the councils that they run. He says, I don't know.
I know,
have
but,
no
but Lord
idea.
Fox, we are
someone with
we are
I
pushed
have
for
no
time.
idea.
I know we are pushed for time, but Nigel Farage isn't in government. He's got 4 or 5 MPs. The small boat crossings under Labour are up 40%, 23,000 this year. No progress whatsoever. In fact, it's got worse.
No, it's getting better. You'll see.
It's not. They're up 40%. Yes or no?
And you'll see it getting better.
You're saying it will get better, but right now you agree, right, that they are up 40-odd%.
It's taking some time to deal with that aspect of it.
All right.
But as I say, we've sent thousands already back. The number of people living in hotels has gone down by 30%. Once these agreements with France and Germany actually take real effect, then more and more of these boats will be stopped.
All right, yeah.
And you've got to be optimistic about it. And Farage has no idea at all. It was amazing.
I don't really care about Farage, to be honest. He's got.
He's your man. And
he's not my man.
Anyway. He's your shareholder. He's doubled his shareholding in GB News.
God knows. No, well above my pay grade, Lord Fox. I'll leave you to it. Thank you, Lord Fox. Appreciate it. I'll leave you to enjoy your weekend. Speak next time.
Look forward to the next time.
Yeah,
Take care.
you. All the best. Right, coming up, there's a massive royal story brewing because lots of King Charles gardeners have quit, and a formal investigation has uncovered some pretty interesting things about royal life behind the hedges. Back in just a sec.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's News Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Now, King Charles is facing scrutiny over a mass exodus of gardeners at Highgrove. Since 2022, 11 of 12 garden staff have quit, citing low pay, burnouts and impossible demands. And a formal probe found staff shortages and poor management were cited. The King's Foundation has pledged reforms, but insiders say issues are still persisting. But I'm joined now by a former royal gardener, Jack Stokes. Jack, good evening. Thank you for joining me. You're smiling.
Thank you.
Were you smiling when you worked as a royal gardener?
Of course, in any job, you smile and you frown and grimace. I've read the article. The article dropped last night, and various people were sending it to me saying, "Have you seen this? What's happened?" I got a paper today. I've read it, and I do think it's a little bit unfair taking a stab at the King. The King has employed the foundation. He's part of the foundation. Obviously, it's the King's Foundation. They are running the garden. So the King is putting it in their trust to run. And if they're running it incorrectly or badly, that's not actually on the King. It's actually on them. So the fact that this has come out, the article's come out and is being read, and now the story's out there, it's quite good in a way, because the King can now see maybe what he hadn't seen before. So if there are problems, the King can now fix those, and I'm sure he will be doing that as we speak.
So where did you work, Jack?
I was in the gardens at Highgrove. I was one of the 11, I think that the article says, that have left.
Oh, you're one of the 11. So you didn't have then Prince Charles or King Charles coming around at the time and saying, "Jack, that hydrangea needs sorting out," or you silly Wally, sort that hedge out. It wasn't the King didn't get involved like that.
He did get involved. It was very much his garden when I worked there. I was there 21 years. So,
wow.
Of course, you're going to have your employer come round and say, "Oh, do you mind mowing this grass?" or "Do you mind planting these trees here?" or "Do you mind taking that tree out?" It's part of the job that you're doing. I never had an issue with the King. I never had an issue with his family. They were all amazingly wonderful people. So I don't think that this article should be aimed quite at the King.
OK. Did he ever get involved himself, King Charles? He's quite green-fingered, and he's a naturist or holistic kind of guy, isn't he? Did you ever see him getting down and potting some plants?
Completely. He's very much hands-on. I even got to go on honeymoon with them and help plant some trees that were in the chapel.
Ah, good man. That's nice. That's nice to hear, actually. That's nice to hear. So where do you think? I mean, there is an official report here about the citing low pay and burnout and impossible demands. Do you have any sympathy with that report?
I mean, yes. I mean, in the gardener's world, there are. It's known for its low pay, so you do have low pay. I ended up leaving Highgrove. I had a back operation, and when you're constantly doing certain jobs over and over again, you can't cope with that kind of thing. Hence, I did get, if I can say, I probably got burnt out, for want of a better word.
Sure.
But the time comes where things change. The foundation took the garden on. That was another big change. So it was the right time, I think, to leave.
You had a great stretch, more than 20 years, so well done you. Sounds like you did a great job. And, really appreciate your company, Jack, tonight. Thank you for giving some background on that. Really appreciate it. That's former Royal Gardener Jack Stokes. Right, coming up on Benio tonight, the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and guess where Nigel Farage wants to send very sick criminals in the UK. He wants to send them abroad to another country. Can you guess which country? Back in just a sec with that information and the front pages, plus more. Here's your weather, though, in the meantime. Back in a sec.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. After an unsettled and showery weekend, not a lot will change as we go into Monday, so further heavy downpours and some persistent spells of rain, courtesy of this area of low pressure that's not really moving anywhere over the next day or two, so it's going to maintain that unsettled flavour to the weather with some showers or longer spells of rain. For Sunday evening, the heaviest rain and most persistent rain will be across southern parts of Scotland, moving into Northern Ireland through the early hours as well. So it's here where we're most concerned about some flooding. There are warnings in place, so do check our website or app for further details on those. Heavy showers across the southeast of England as well later in the night, but not a cold night. Temperatures, generally speaking, holding up in the mid to high teens Celsius. So for Monday, it's going to be an unsettled start to the new working week, particularly across the southeast of England, where there'll be some pretty heavy downpours moving in from the south, so some thunderstorms already perhaps possible here. Sunny and dry conditions across parts of the Midlands, eastern parts of Wales, but further north and west, we run into that heavier rain for parts of Northern Ireland, western and southwestern Scotland, with some rain also across the far northeast of Scotland too. So Not many places escaping with much in the way of dry weather first thing, and it's going to stay pretty changeable and unsettled through the course of Monday as well. That rain lingers across parts of western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and parts of southwest England for much of the day. Further east, it's a mixture of sunny spells and sudden heavy downpours, some thundery downpours too, some hail and gusty winds. But nonetheless, in between the showers, in the sunshine, it should feel quite warm with temperatures in the mid-20s. For Tuesday, we're not expecting it to be quite as unsettled. Having said that, it will be fairly cloudy. There will be some showers around in places and perhaps some longer spells of rain across western parts of Scotland and northwest England. But despite that, it should still feel fairly warm in any brightness. A changeable picture, though, as we go through the rest of the week. A lot of cloud around in general, but in any sunshine, it will still feel pretty warm.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock, I'm Ben Leo, and breaking tonight in the last couple of minutes, Nigel Farage wants to crack down on crime. The Reform UK leader announcing plans to rent prison space overseas in countries such as El Salvador to cage Britain's most depraved murderers and paedophiles, such as child killer Ian Huntley. Good idea? And inside tomorrow's Sun on Sunday, Lucy Letby has reportedly bonded over games of Uno with the stepmother of murdered Sarah Sharif, who's serving 33 years for the girl's death. The pair spending time in each other's cells and even sickeningly cooking together. And elsewhere, it's been revealed that tens of millions of pounds of taxpayer cash, your money, has been wasted on DEI training roles all across Scotland. And Social media is absolutely drowning in fake AI videos, but can you spot the real ones from the fake? What about that video there with the jet ski? I'll be putting my panel to the test tonight. Joining me this evening is political commentator Samuel Sweek, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and the businessman and activist Adam Brooks. And the Kiss cam has officially become the Coldplay cam. Welcome along to Ben Leo tonight. The first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages are in, and there are some barnstorming stories to discuss, starting with the Metro. Our water torture will go on. Punk star campaigner Sharkey says findings will fall flat. This is ahead of a major water review, and I think there's going to be some breaking news later tonight about the future of Ofwat and water regulation in this country, so stay tuned for that. The Independent. The Prime Minister says women must not face choice of violence or streets. Keir Starmer vows to pull every lever to halve attacks on women and girls as he praises completion of second safe house built by generous readers of The Independent to provide lifeline for families in need. And England also calling the police over viral racist abuse towards one of their female football stars. And The Telegraph tomorrow. This is a good story. Nigel Farage, I'll build more jails to clean up streets. The Reform UK leader says violent criminals and sex offenders will not get early release. And panel, welcome along, Adam, Chloe, Samuel. Nigel Farage wants to send the likes of Ian Huntley, for example, the Soham killer paedophile, to prisons in El Salvador. He says if we get elected as a Reform government, we will be sending these absolute wrong-uns far away to the hellhole prisons of El Salvador. Good idea, Adam?
Great idea. If we can't put people that maybe murder or sexually abuse children to the chair, then I would like to see them in the harshest conditions possible. I'd like them to suffer for the rest of their life. Hopefully, if you think you're going to be sent to El Salvador and really be tortured for your whole life, that might deter you from doing sick and twisted things. I think this rhetoric from Farage about building more prisons here and I'd like to speak to him about knife crime deterrence, such as 5-year mandatory sentences for carrying a knife. I've spoke to him before, he was keen. So, yeah, look, it's all about deterrence and getting tough on the worst in society.
Chloe?
Well, I think we need to see how much this is going to cost. So the average cost of housing someone in a prison in England and Wales, I believe, is about 51 grand a year. If it's the case that we can save some money by sending some of the worst offenders out to El Salvador, then I think good. But let's see what happens there. But I think regardless of exactly what Farage does, he needs to make sure that people who commit horrific crimes pay the price, whether that is being sent to El Salvador and or being given longer sentences. The fact that we have grooming gang perpetrators who have raped young kids only spending like 2 years behind bars is just beyond me.
In addition to this, I mean, that's not the only policy he's going to be announcing on Monday. Farage says that Reform UK would create 30,000 more prison officers within 5 years, 30,000 new prison spaces within 5 years, and they'd also deport the more than 10,000 foreign criminals languishing in our jails. I mean, I don't know why that's not done straight away.
Let me just say, if this can happen, he will be Prime Minister for a long time, because fathers like me are sick and tired of a dangerous Britain, a Britain where people can commit the most heinous crimes, especially against children, and get 1 or 2 years or get out in a few years. We've become soft Britain, and it will take someone like maybe Nigel Farage to get tough and clamp down on this. Fantastic. I'm loving this.
Samuel Sweek, are you loving it? 30,000 more prison officers, 30,000 more prison spaces, foreign criminals sent back home, see you later, and also the worst of the worst, the scumbags of the earth, sent to some pretty horrible prisons in El Salvador. Sounds good?
Well, look, like Chloe says, let's see how much that's all going to cost him. But, he's certainly aping the language of Trump there, but, that's his style. He's laid out his stall there, but there needs to be substance with it if he's, actually going to do this. And it's a very, very dangerous sort of precedent to sort of just say stuff that, we haven't actually got a cost for. And just
so would you be in favour for this?
Of sending people to... No, I don't...
Would you be in favour of the harsher sentences and a harsher punishments for criminals?
Absolutely. But I think offshoring people who have committed crimes in this country are British citizens, for example. Ian Huntley who was referenced in the piece there. It's just we're just doing Rwanda stuff again. Do you know what I mean? It's unworkable, it's uncosted, and it's just to draw headlines. Frankly, there needs to actually be substance if we're going to.
Would you maybe not think that harsh deterrents like that and the thought of a life in El Salvador
Ian Huntley's already committed his crime.
Could maybe stop people like Ian Huntley killing kids?
Perhaps it could work as a deterrent, but I still think it's unworkable.
For me, if it saves one kid, it's worth doing.
It's unworkable if we stay in the ECHR, but if reform leave the ECHR, then this wouldn't be met with the same crazy number of legal battles. That you mentioned Rwanda there. Being a member of the ECHR is what made that such a pain and so long and painstaking and a huge cost to the government to never actually send anybody there. But if they leave the ECHR, then maybe they could make progress on this. And I'll take your point that you can't just throw out headlines and all this talk without any substance. And they absolutely need to be careful not to give the public the illusion that they're going to step into power and day one the streets are going to be perfectly safe and there are going to be 30,000 prison spaces overnight. This stuff will take time. But I think if you've got tenacity, you mentioned how he speaks like Trump. Look how much Trump has done to turn the country around in such a short time. I'm not saying that you'll be a fan of Trump. I expect you've got different views on that. But I mean, look how quickly on things like stopping illegal migration, he's been able to take action. He has clearly shown if you're someone with tenacity and drive, you can get things done in a far more speedy way than happens in this country.
We've also seen people dragged out of their communities, people who actually do have US citizenship by ICE, for example, for protesting. There's a strong authoritarianism which actually deprives people of rights. And we have to be really careful if we're saying this is what Farage and Trump want to do, that we don't actually end up doing that to the wrong people.
Well, can you support deporting 10,000 foreign criminals in British prisons?
Well, look, I mean, I don't know what have they done? What are the criminals like?
Well, they're just criminals. Who cares? Shoplifters, paedophiles, rapists, child abusers.
There's a lot more to it than just saying that because they're foreign and they've committed a crime, they should be deported. No, I don't agree.
You've actually got foreigners in our prisons. This is one thing Nigel's uncovered when he's been looking into this, is that you've got people in prisons that actually want to be deported and they can't get deported. You've got people who are, let's say they're a Lithuanian prisoner. Yeah, they're in prison, but at least they'd rather be in prison back home where their mum and their family can visit them, right? But they're asking to be deported and they can't.
Yeah.
That's insane.
What about Samuel? I'm keen to know from the left side of things. What about people like Ian Huntley, just, certified wrong-uns, filthy, murderous paedophiles? What about the death penalty? Would you support that?
I do not support the death penalty.
No. Why not?
I mean, with Ian Huntley specifically, I grew up in Cambridgeshire, just down the road from Sam, and Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman are about my age, so I remember the story very well. But no, I think we've done this historically. If we kill the wrong people, there's absolutely no rectifying.
What about for absolutely nailed-on cases? Axel Rudbakana, Southport, nailed on.
We've had nailed-on cases in history.
No, but that is nailed on. 1 second. Have you got children?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Right. So if you've got children, would you not want Axel Rudbakana to be put to death?
No, but that's not how the criminal justice system works. It's why the families of, say, the victims of those awful crimes do not make those punishments. It needs to be, through the courts, through our legal systems. And I'm not saying that I sympathise at all with these people. They should absolutely, have the most horrific lives ever. But I do not think deportation or the death penalty is the...
No. Well, I mean, to be honest, very few people would agree with me about the death penalty for people like Ian Huntley.
I think the latest YouGov on that, the majority, I think, supported the death penalty for child killers or child...
Oh, interesting.
I'm sure. I'll Google that in a break.
I'm not alone, then. I'm not alone. We've got some breaking news now. Let's look at the front page of The Sun on Sunday tomorrow. It's some sad news, actually. There's fears for England legend, Spurs legend Paul Gascoigne, who has been rushed to hospital. He's in intensive care after he was found collapsed at home by a friend. There's the front page of The Sun tomorrow. Fears over Gaza dash to A&E. An ambulance rushed Gascoigne to Poole Hospital. That's down in Dorset near Bournemouth, where he was admitted to intensive care. We're just trying to get some more details now. Of course, Paul Gascoigne, we know over the years that he's struggled with alcoholism, addiction and so on. At times, he was making a comeback. At times, he's admitted himself that he fell off the wagon. He's only 58 still. He's of no age, really, to be moving on yet, but his condition was described as stable tonight. He's in an acute medical unit, and the football legend has thanked friends for his support. You're a Spurs fan, aren't you, Adam?
No, I've got a story about Gaza. 3 weeks after my dad was murdered when I was 11, John Moncur, the West Ham footballer, took me golf with Gazza, and he spent 4 or 5 hours with me, and it was memories that I will never, ever forget. He was my hero growing up. He was one of the most talented footballers of that generation, and I just hope he pulls through. What a legend.
The Sun is reporting that Gazza was set to be out of danger tonight and stable after he was rushed to hospital and placed in intensive care. He's recovering near his home. He's expected to remain there for several days for treatment, and Mr Foster, who is Gascoigne's driver and personal assistant, rushed him to hospital in his car after finding him in a state in his bedroom. He said, "Paul is in hospital, which is the best possible place for him to be right now." Samuel, are you a football fan?
Yeah, big time. And Rangers, my second team. So
oh, really?
Really, I mean, Gazza a little bit. I was a bit young when he played for Rangers, but certainly, you know, I've trawled the YouTube before, and you know, as a supporter of the England football team as well, of course, like the man's a legend. You know?
Yeah.
So I hope he pulls through.
And Chloe, he's only 58, which is still, in my book, still pretty young. You know, if you can try and keep yourself in good shape and, I don't know, keep busy and stay mentally and physically fit, there's no age to be checking out just yet.
It's always a shock when someone who is sporty has health troubles at a young age, because you always just assume that they're so fit and healthy. There was a boxing coach that I did a few sessions with in my area, and he was the coach out there every single day, and then just one day he was gone, had a heart attack, and no one expected it because he was out training the kids every single day until the day that he went.
Adam, do you think there's any conversation to be had about the football community supporting Gascoigne in recent years? I know some people have. There's certain players and clubs who have tried to help him, but does the FA, for example, do they need to make more of an effort to make sure ex-players such as Kenny Sampson, who Arsenal left-back, England left-back, has had his own drinking problems, do they need more support?
Look, I think being a super famous footballer has pressures, has damaging factors with personal life and things, and I think, look, the football community should maybe have rallied round Gazza a lot more. He's one of the most talented footballers we've ever seen in this country, and I hope now maybe people in the FA or the authorities go and help him as well and give him support.
Yeah, indeed. I remember meeting him some years ago in Poole. He lives down in Poole. And he's such a sweet guy. You know, he's certainly troubled, which is why he drinks. Yeah. He's got problems which he's been battling so many years to try and beat the demons, but he is in his nature such a sweet guy, so caring.
I'm a little bit sad seeing that, because at my hardest time in my life, he was like the bright light that sort of got me through the initial weeks and months. And, you know, to hear that he's very badly ill is quite sad.
When did he play for Spurs?
Oh, well, that was 1991, so around that time. Can't remember how many years he was with us, but...
And he's such a character as well, not just a football talent, but such a character, you know, the life and soul, the infamous... Was it the dentist chair celebration? Was that Gazza?
Brilliant.
Yeah, very good.
I recommend everyone, by the way, just on there, if you ever, listen to any of Ali McCoist's, stories about Gazza, they're all on YouTube. And Ali's obviously such a great storyteller, but also... Gazza, what a character.
Well, but the iconic picture of Vinnie Jones where he's reaching back.
in his house, apparently, that picture.
It's just, I mean, that's iconic, you know, and I think most people my age and maybe a little bit older will know that picture.
All right, just moving on very quickly before we pop to the break. On the front page of the Telegraph as well, so the Lionesses, the England women's football team, say they won't be taking the knee after one of their stars received racist abuse during the women's Euros. So Jess Carter, the England defender, said she was taking a step back from social media after receiving a flurry of racist abuse, who, when we saw it last time, Adam, you might remember, with the likes of Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, during England's loss to Italy in the Euros final some years ago, it was found to all be foreigners from abroad, Pakistan, India. There was very, very few accounts from Britain sending off that racist abuse.
Let's just make this clear. There is no excuse to be racist to anyone, whether it's verbally or whether it's on the computer, anonymously, or with, you know... What she's faced is disgusting. And... You know, this taking the knee, they're not going to take the knee, is that right?
Yeah, they're not taking the knee.
So
I think
I know a lot of former footballers that know people that are in Premier League clubs, and there are many black players that don't want to take the knee in the men's game because they see it as virtual signalling or ticking a box.
Yeah.
Clearly, they want racism out of football, as do we all.
Sorry, are you surprised? Yeah, great point, Adam. Of course, yeah, everyone can get on board with that. Are you surprised England are not going to be taking the knee?
I mean, I would like... Clearly it's been because of... Well, it looks like it's because of this player facing racist abuse, which, as you say, Adam, is absolutely horrific and shouldn't be happening. And that may be the reason behind their decision. But me personally, the main reason I want to see them stop taking the knee is because, as you say, Adam, it is just virtue signalling. And if you don't go along with it, the cost is very, very high. If you're a footballer who's potentially going to lose all your sponsorships and contracts if you don't go along with it and cause a controversy. And, you know, a lot of people, it's not that they're not taking the knee. They don't want to take the knee just because they don't care about racism. A lot of them, they don't want to be seen to be supporting BLM, which we know is a crazy Marxist organisation that's completely corrupt.
Scam organisation. And Samuel, very quick word to you. England defender Lucy Bronze said that taking the knee doesn't really work anymore. The message needs to be stronger. That's why they're not doing it.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think, you know, when people were taking the knee before around 2020, 2021, when that gesture sort of started, is that, you know, it brought a lot of people together to the message of anti-racism. But now there needs to be action. You know, how many more times can we take the knee before? Like, when does that end? You know, there needs to be lifetime bans from games. There needs to be prosecutions and a joint effort across Europe and around the world to weed these people out, essentially, who have done the racist abuse.
OK, stick with us on Benleo tonight. More front pages coming up imminently, including a breaking story. The brother of an Afghan soldier has spoken out for the first time after he was killed by the Taliban, directly linked to that data leak. So I understand this is one of the first people to be killed as a direct result of that data leak. Next, though, the editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, the royal scoop getter, with all things royals. Back in just a tick.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, experts are warning that lithium suppliers will not keep up with the demand for electric cars.
Yeah, researchers say domestic lithium production could grow as much by about 10 times what it currently is by 2030, but will still fall short of demand.
So this morning we're asking whether Labour's green car policy is unachievable.
This policy tells you everything you need to know about net zero. This isn't about giving people free choices about the technologies they want to use. This is about saying we're going to have mandatory targets. It's a sad indictment on our country if we've just normalised the government making these fundamental decisions for people's lives. The CEBR has warned that this policy might cost the country. That's rigid targets for battery electric vehicles, known as the ZEV mandate. 80% of all vehicles will have to be electric vehicles by 2030, rising to 100% by 2035. And that policy is expected to cost £400 billion to the UK economy. And of course, car makers as well have warned that this policy is not achievable.
The latest stats say 47% of vehicles sold in Britain are now EVs. We're halfway there after just 2 years of the electric mandate. We've another 5 years to go. It's speeding up. And this charge that lithium, we're going to have a shortage of lithium, is nonsense. What it says is that there may be the consumption of lithium is increasing, so the domestic production will not be sufficient, but there's plenty in the world.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News. There's just 2 weeks remaining in the current Great British Giveaway to get your chance on, your hands rather, on £54,321. 54321. Get it? It's tax-free. Here's all the details you need to win.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win our biggest cash prize so far. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British Giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, very good luck to you. I'm delighted now to say Charlotte Griffiths, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, joins me for all the latest royal news. Charlotte, good evening. Nice to see you. Shall we start with Princess Anne? What's she been up to?
Oh, Princess Anne, the unsung hero of the royal family. She has done 474 engagements this year, and the King's done 372. OK, yes, he's got cancer, but all the way throughout her life, this has been a pattern. She does more engagements than anyone else, and she does these bread and butter engagements, which are, you know, the more mundane ones, the quieter ones, the less front-of-house ones.
Yeah.
And she's turning 75 on August the 15th, and there's a little £5 coin that's going to come out with her face on it. But she doesn't want any recognition, really. She says she only wants to celebrate the zeros, not the fives. So she doesn't want any attention until she turns 80. And when she turns 80, she wants to start winding down. There was a really good piece in the Times today that sort of let us in on her plan for retirement, because she's well past retirement age at this point. What she's going to do is follow in Prince Philip's footsteps and start slowly winding down at 80, hopefully make it to 90, and then pretty much wrap things up by then. Oh. But there were some really fascinating points in the Times piece. I'll just go over them really quickly.
Yeah.
One was that apparently she's ticked off the King for not doing enough of these bread and butter engagements. Because I love this about Princess Anne. She will tick you off if she feels like it, even if you're the King of England. And the other thing is, she does most of the investitures in Windsor that the King can't do. And apparently she's very, she finds it, I think the word they used was annoyed. She's annoyed with William because William lives in Windsor and he's the Prince of Wales. And she feels like she does all the investitures and he's not pulling his weight. So I just... I found the coverage of her birthday actually had some really good insights into what's going on backstage at the royal family at the moment.
So, sorry, Charlotte, you said she's done 400 and how many engagements? 472?
474.
Oh, my gosh. In the last year?
Yeah,
wow.
She just does them flat out. And don't forget, she was very heavily concussed and hospitalised after being kicked in the head by a horse. The other great thing in this Times piece, I mean, not great thing, but interesting thing in the Times piece, was that apparently that injury was far worse than they let on, and people were quite seriously worried about her at one point.
Wow.
But there she is on your screen now, back at work. You know, she had a big black eye for a long time.
Well, she sounds like an extremely tough cookie. And you mentioned there that there's going to be a special £5 coin for her 75th or 80th birthday.
75th, but she's not making a fuss because she only wants to celebrate the zeros, not the fives. The zeros, not the fives. So she's ignoring it because it's 75, not 80, basically. But you know, against her wishes, there's a £5 coin.
Good for her. She's one of the more, you know, she just, as you said, she gets her head down, cracks on, and she's very rarely spoken about. And actually, I think she's probably one of the more favoured royals, and certainly a tough cookie. So well done, Anne. Her 75th birthday is when, sorry? What's the date?
August the 15th.
OK, that makes her, is it a Virgo or a Leo? It's near mine.
I think it makes her a Leo.
A Leo, oh, just about on the border.
Leo.
Yeah, there we go. I'm a Virgo, though. I'm on the... I won't say my birthday. It's in August. Right, let's talk about the Sussexes, shall we? They're back in the royal fold, or imminently back in the fold, anyway?
Well, I mean, based off my piece last week, obviously there's been a whole week of speculation about are they coming back and aren't they coming back, because in the Mail on Sunday last week, they were pictured having, well, their aides were pictured having a peace summit of sorts. Yeah. And this has been deemed to be the first step in a 2-year process towards them coming to the UK, possibly just for the Invictus Games, but possibly for more. And today, the Times did some polling, working out whether the British public would be receptive or not to them coming back. I mean, overall, the polling suggested Harry, fine. Marginally more people were pro him coming back than against. But of course, with Meghan, it was about 48 to 50% of people want her to be stripped of her title and not to come back to the UK. So it seems like the British public, at least, would welcome him back if he came alone. Whether that's an option or not, I don't know.
Do you think, Charlotte, Meghan would ever come back? Surely you don't need, or she doesn't need polling to know that I don't think she'd be very well received in this country, not by the majority anyway. Do you think Meghan will ever come back to Britain?
I just don't think she has any desire to. She doesn't even want to stand on that Buckingham Palace balcony ever again, I don't think. You know, even though it would be the most incredible publicity for her books and her TV deals and her cookery show, I still think she wouldn't be able to face it. She wouldn't be able to face the boos. And last time she was in the country, her last ever official engagement, she was really badly booed. And she just can't handle that, I don't think. And also there's, of course, the famous security issue, which is that Harry believes she can't come here without being, you know, attacked in some way. Yeah, the narrative it really has kept going since I spoke to you this time last week. This constant chatter from aides and sources saying, you know, something is happening, and it may move at a glacial pace, but the beginning of the end of the feud has begun.
Interesting. Yeah, and I wonder what our viewers think. Would they forgive Harry if Meghan was out of the picture? Maybe not divorced or anything like that, but if Meghan was just kept away from Britain, would they accept Harry back and maybe try and rebuild bridges with him? Interesting. And also, just mentioning the security wasn't a problem when Harry was gallivanting up and down, was it the King's Road in Fulham or wherever he was, knocking on random doors looking for his friend, eh?
And in Angola last week. He was complaining about security and then he walked landmines in Angola. Now, of course, those landmines weren't likely to go off because they'd been cleared. But, you know, it's not exactly safe in Angola, is it?
No.
I would have thought even Britain, even London, being as it is at the moment, is slightly safer than Angola.
I don't know. I'll probably go with Angola if you ask me. Anyway, Charlotte Griffiths, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next week. That's the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Right. Now, should we look at the papers first? Papers? Yeah, the Metro. Let's have a quick whiz through the papers that have already dropped. Metro, our water torture will go on. A punk star campaigner, Sharkey, says findings will fall flat. This is ahead of a major water review. We understand Ofwat could be on the brink of being axed next week, and I think maybe tonight at some point we'll have some breaking news about what could replace Ofwat. The Independent, the Prime Minister, women must not face choice of violence or streets. Keir Starmer vows to pull every lever to halve attacks on women and girls. The Daily Telegraph, that big breaking story from the last half an hour. Nigel Farage will build more prison spaces, 30,000 more, including 30,000 more prison officers on top of that, and deport 10,000 foreign criminals, and also send the worst of the worst, the likes of Ian Huntley, Axel Rudabakana, to prison in El Salvador. Sound good to you? The Sun. Fears over Paul Gascoigne. He's been rushed to hospital tonight. He was in intensive care. He's now said to be in a stable condition after being found semi-conscious by a friend on Friday evening, last night, at his home in Poole in Dorset. Thoughts with you, Gaza. And the Express. Doctors hold patients to ransom with pay demand. This is ahead of the BMA threatened strike, who are accused of holding patients to ransom, demanding more money. And there's a nice picture there of Prince George. Big changes on the horizon for birthday boy George. Happy birthday, George. There we go. Let's look at the Express, shall we? Should we do the Express? Let's do this AI one. AI has exploded. Artificial intelligence has exploded, of course, in recent years, especially when it comes to generating incredibly realistic videos and images. Social media now is flooded with clips that are so convincing to most people that actually a lot of us can't tell what's real and what's fake. So tonight I've got a little test for my panel and you at home. Can we spot which of the following videos are AI and which are real? Let's have a look at the first video. We can speak over these. AI, Adam, we'll start with you, one each. AI or real?
That's real.
Chloe?
Real?
Samuel?
I'm going to go AI. I'm going to be different here.
Is this AI or fake? This one? Oh, we're going to find out at the end. OK, next one. Let's have a look at this. Stand by, here we come. Ooh. Adam, AI or fake?
That is real.
Chloe?
Say AI.
Samuel?
I hope it's AI, but I think I'm going to go real.
Yeah. This one is real.
Oh.
This one's real. That's an actual piece of video footage. The previous one was AI.
Oh,
You said it was
wow.
real, didn't you?
I thought it was real, yeah.
I thought, yeah. Let's take a look at the next one.
Get my eyes checked again.
AI or real, Adam?
That is AI.
Chloe? I'm going to go over guess and say that's AI. Yeah, it is AI. Let's take a look at one more. I'd be so lucky. If I was lucky enough to be on an outside broadcast and that happened, and Adam, is it AI or real?
I mean, anyone that says that's real is nuts, but how clever is that?
I don't know, give me a few pints on a Friday night, I probably might say that's real. Yeah, that's AI,
These videos of AI news presenters are getting really good, by the way, so watch out, Ben.
Oh, I know, I might be down the job centre. They'll probably do a better job than me. That, of course, is AI as well. Any fears about AI?
Yeah, I do, actually, but more around maybe nuclear bombs and things like that, setting off bombs or warfare. That scares me.
Chloe, you bothered? Do you take advantage much of things like ChatGPT and that kind of thing?
Oh, I do, absolutely. Yeah. All the time. I think AI has absolutely huge benefits, and I think that there is a chance that it comes to a point where it does start putting people out of jobs, but I would say hold your horses, because every time there is some sort of technological revolution in history, everyone worries everyone's going to be out of a job, yet people's jobs just change.
Samuel, do you envision a future where planet Earth is hooked up to sort of embryos like the Matrix and AI is taking control?
Well, I mean, I don't know quite about that, but I definitely do have concerns about, automating where jobs are in the creative industries or people becoming too reliant on something and then, losing touch with that. I mean, we've got people writing songs with AI now.
I know. Apparently, there was a story the other week. Apparently, most new songs being written now for sort of pop artists and producers are AI, which is pretty scary.
Every time I've used AI, it's got it wrong. So I don't know, maybe I'm using the wrong AI.
Did you type, is Adam Brooks a communist? And it said yes.
Well, loads of people online are trying that with other names, to be fair.
It's absolutely got its limits. I tutor kids, and I can always tell when they send me a ChatGPT essay, and I put it straight up on it. Yeah, you have to. It is a useful tool, but it absolutely is nowhere near the point of replacing humans.
Good. For now, good. Give it a few years. Right, stick with us on Benleo tonight. More front pages coming, including a big story. Tens of millions of pounds of taxpayer cash has been absolutely squandered, wasted, thrown down the drain on DEI training and roles. I think that's in Scotland. We'll get stuck into that and more in just a tick.
Hello there, and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. After an unsettled and showery weekend, not a lot will change as we go into Monday, so further heavy downpours and some persistent spells of rain, courtesy of this area of low pressure that's not really moving anywhere over the next day or two, so it's going to maintain that unsettled flavour to the weather with some showers or longer spells of rain. For Sunday evening, the heaviest rain and most persistent rain will be across southern parts of Scotland, moving into Northern Ireland through the early hours as well. So it's here where we're most concerned about some flooding. There are warnings in place, so do check our website or app for further details on those. Heavy showers across the southeast of England as well later in the night, but not a cold night. Temperatures, generally speaking, holding up in the mid to high teens Celsius. So for Monday, it's going to be an unsettled start to the new working week, particularly across the southeast of England, where there'll be some pretty heavy downpours moving in from the south, so some thunderstorms already perhaps possible here. Sunny and dry conditions across parts of the Midlands, eastern parts of Wales, but further north and west, we run into that heavier rain for parts of Northern Ireland, western and southwestern Scotland, with some rain also across the far northeast of Scotland too. So not many places escaping with much in the way of dry weather first thing, and it's going to stay pretty changeable and unsettled through the course of Monday as well. That rain lingers across parts of western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and parts of southwest England for much of the day. Further east, it's a mixture of sunny spells and sudden heavy downpours, some thundery downpours too, some hail and gusty winds, but nonetheless in between the showers, in the sunshine, it should feel quite warm with temperatures in the mid-20s. For Tuesday, we're not expecting it to be quite as unsettled. Having said that, it will be fairly cloudy. There will be some showers around in places and perhaps some longer spells of rain across western parts of Scotland and northwest England. But despite that, it should still feel fairly warm in any brightness. A changeable picture, though, as we go through the rest of the week. A lot of cloud around in general, but in any sunshine, it will still feel pretty warm.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Benleo tonight. Let's have another whiz through the papers for tomorrow. The front pages. The Metro, our water torture will go on. This is a major warning ahead of a review into the water industry in the UK, off what we think is going to be scrapped next week. And we're going to be getting stuck into a water story imminently because Steve Reid is set to announce a new water ombudsman. The Independent. Prime Minister, women must not face choice of violence or streets. This is a vow to pull every lever to halve attacks on women and girls. I will say, you know, just as a comment here, you can't on one hand talk about wanting to protect women and girls and then also import tens of thousands of strange men from faraway lands who view women and girls completely differently to people in the West. And also a picture there of England defender Jess Carter, who has said that she's received racist abuse during the Women's Euros tournament. The Daily Telegraph. Big story here from Nigel Farage and Reform UK. Farage, I'll build more jails to clean up the streets. He's promising, under a Reform government, should that happen, 30,000 more police officers within 5 years, 30,000 new prison places, and deporting 10,400 foreign criminals getting out of our prisons, and also sending the most heinous criminals in the UK, the likes of Ian Huntley, Axel Ridder-Bacana, to prison in El Salvador, getting them the hell out of the country where they deserve. And The Sun fears over Paul Gascoigne tonight. He was rushed to A&E last night on Friday night after being found semi-conscious by a friend on Friday evening in his bedroom at his home in Poole in Dorset. He's said to be stable tonight, but he was in intensive care. Thoughts and best wishes to Gaza. The Daily Express. Doctors hold patients to ransom with pay demand. Doctors are holding patients to ransom, have threatened to quit the NHS and work abroad unless they get further inflation-busting pay rises. The Guardian. It's been revealed that £27 billion is the bill for failings in England's mother and baby care. That's absolutely mega, actually. The NHS is facing absolutely shocking £27 billion bill for maternity failings in England. That's an investigation from The Guardian. After a series of hospital scandals triggered a record level of legal claims. £27 billion. Maybe we'll talk about that imminently. And the Daily Mail. The BMA's war chest to fund doctors' strikes with first walkout due on Friday next week. The union, the BMA, can spend millions causing havoc across the NHS. What a bunch of greedy so-and-sos. Right, let's move on to a breaking story today. The Environment Secretary, Steve Reid, is set to announce a new water ombudsman with legal powers to tackle disputes. It will supposedly give customers a clear single point of contact for complaints, ending the utter confusion over where to turn when things go wrong. Adam, Ofwat is set to be scrapped, we believe, next week. What's your thoughts on the water industry? It's a complete mess, isn't it?
It's an absolute complete mess. I think, are we the fifth biggest economy in the world? Fifth or sixth?
Yeah.
And our water's diabolical. How have we got here? Successive governments have let us down. I think it's a mess. And it's only the sort of taxpayer that ends up suffering.
Yeah, so he wants to, Samuel, he wants to cut water pollution by 2030. Yeah. Steve Reid, do you have faith in him and the Labour government?
Well, no. Do you know what? No, actually, because we're talking now about their plans going forward, but none of those plans actually involve tackling the disgraceful profiteering, which has also brought along waste water into our. It's up 60%, I believe, in the last year. maybe it's not last year, but
the outflows.
Where like the pollution rate is up 60%, and you know, a new ombudsman's like great and stuff for customers, I guess. But what's that going to do in terms of ending the wastewater, Thames Water hemorrhaging money? You know, they are responsible for the bulk of that 60% increase as well.
Do you think the water industry should be renationalised?
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah, I think I do as well. Steve Reed says he will be personally accountable, Chloe, for bringing sewage pollution down. I mean, that's, you know, Steve Reed seems an OK guy, but that sounds pretty impressive. You're willing to put your own reputation and indeed job on the line to make sure that you meet your targets, which sounds pretty rare for politicians these days.
I mean, him saying that suggests to me that this is a guy with some tenacity, but let's not be fooled into thinking this is going to be an easy problem to solve. I don't know exactly what the perfect solution is. I'm on the fence as to whether we should try nationalising the industry or not. It's very easy when an industry is in a mess to just say, oh, just nationalise it. That's not necessarily going to solve all your problems.
He's also distanced himself from that, Steve Reed. Sorry to interject. He said that calls to renationalise the water industry would cost roughly £100 billion, and he argues the cost to buy back companies would take away funds from the NHS and education.
What a mess.
Yeah, exactly. It could be very, very costly if you nationalise it. But then at the same time, as Sam has pointed out, you've also got huge, huge bonuses. So I believe, you know, Thames Water, even though they are completely disastrous, sewage leaks everywhere, always missing their targets. Apparently, they've earmarked 13 million for bonuses for the year. So, you know,
it's almost criminal. Whilst bills continue to skyrocket, by the way, it's the customers who are essentially funding.
We keep hearing that they're going bankrupt and they're about to shut down, yet somehow they still manage to pay big bonuses. And one big issue with these water companies is a lot of the big shareholders, big directors. They're actually people that live overseas. They're not on the big foreign investors. They're not on the ground actually seeing how it is devastating people's communities. Having rivers just full of sewage, no one being able to go swimming or enjoy water sports or anything.
A nation swimming in its own filth.
It's depressing. Just the basic things that we expect are not getting done in this country.
Britain's a third world country.
It is falling apart. And I don't know what the answer is, because you can't blame Labour over the last year for this. This is successive governments.
Yeah.
This is over 20 years. I just don't understand what the hierarchy of this country have been doing.
I mean, literally just today, one of the roads where I live has turned into a river because the water pipes have all burst. It's a complete mess. Thames Water have to come every 5 minutes and block off all the roads to fix yet another leak. I mean, there's been a huge issue for years and years of them not actually investing in the infrastructure that's necessary to keep up. Hence, we've got all these hose pipe bams and whatnot.
And also, they don't dredge the rivers. They wonder why flooding happens all the time and drains are blocked. They just don't dredge the rivers. They don't do their job. Should we move on to a story that's breaking in the last 15 minutes? The Defence Secretary will launch a 50-day drive to arm Ukraine when he chairs a key meeting of Kyiv's allies on Monday. So John Healey is expected to urge the West to ramp up military support, aiming to force Putin to the negotiating table. That comes, of course, after Donald Trump threatened very severe tariffs on Russia if there's no ceasefire by September the 2nd. Samuel, you were shaking your head just then. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, the increased militarisation of a very volatile situation is going to bring us absolutely no closer to peace. It's going to be an expansion of the war zone. It's going to make more innocent civilian lives at risk. There's been so many opportunities to get around the table. You know, Putin has now fallen out of favour with Trump. But there was a lot of time between then and now where they could have got him round the table. They could have rallied on Trump's support. Trump was a kingmaker in that situation, and they didn't take advantage of that.
Who didn't take advantage of it?
The British government and the American government.
So what would you do? What was your solution?
Well, in this case, I certainly wouldn't be pumping more arms into a very volatile situation, as I said. I wouldn't be giving essentially a blank cheque to the global arms trade to continue profiteering where peace is absolutely no interest to them. It's completely within their interests to want more weaponry to go into Ukraine. Keir Starmer and our government, they need to essentially force Putin around the table via diplomatic means. They need to continue with sanctions, and they need to encourage Trump to go the same way and other allies around the world to go the same way.
I mean, Adam?
We're throwing billions now at a war that cannot be won. The only way this can be won is if we enter World War III, and we would win that. But
so what's your solution then?
How many millions or tens of millions of lives? Look, as I said, we have got bigger problems back home to sort to sort with those billions of pounds. I'm sorry, we cannot keep throwing billions at this. I don't know what the solution is, but throwing money at a short-term fix that might not work, and then what? It's money up in smoke.
Yeah, Chloe, Trump's not happy with Putin. He tried to do it, you know, he tried to flatter him, tried to compliment him and bring him around the table, and he just kept firing missiles and rockets into Ukraine. Not a happy man, Donald Trump.
I think Trump, to be honest, underestimated how difficult it would be to end this war. He gave us the impression that that would basically be day one, it would be done and dusted, because he is a very good negotiator, but Putin is a very, very difficult man to deal with. I don't know what the perfect solution is, but I think that both sides need to be willing to make some compromises. I would rather than keep throwing money at a war where Ukraine doesn't seem to make any progress, maybe consider some of the parts of Ukraine that are very Russian culturally already, just agree to give them away if it stops the bloodshed. I mean, people are constantly at the moment, all they talk about is the number of people dying in Gaza, not looking at all at the way higher figure of the number of people dying in Ukraine, both soldiers and civilians.
Yeah, I stupidly watched the GoPro videos of the trench warfare in Ukraine and the Donbass and wherever. The young men, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, Ukrainians and Russians, who are essentially the same people. They are cousins and brothers, killing each other.
I've got a 16-year-old boy, and I'll tell you now, there's no way he's going to a foreign land like Ukraine giving his life for an unwinnable war. Putin's going to have to show a win to his people. We're going to have to let him have something, and it's what that is.
OK, stick with us on Ben Leo tonight. I want to talk about this story in The Guardian, £27 billion bill for failings of England's mother and baby units. I mean, negligence, etc., etc. £27 billion paid out in compensation. It's an insane story. And also, it's Good News Britain. My panel and I are armed with the most uplifting stories from this week. This is Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
It's a bit of a mixed picture across Europe over the next couple of days, with plenty of showers around across parts of France, even northern parts of Italy too. Maybe even Madeira and the Canary Islands catching one or two isolated showers. But for parts of Spain, Portugal, Italy, even parts of Greece, there's plenty of sunshine on offer. And the southern Mediterranean seeing plenty of that sunshine, though perhaps a little breezy. Temperatures generally in the low to mid 30s and similar through the outlook as well. Plenty of sunshine on the cards and feeling very warm.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Back in 2015, Thornton and Cleveley's resident Emma Shepherd noticed the grass in her garden wasn't growing. Within months, she had to put down Alfie, one of her beloved dogs who had developed throat cancer. Just weeks later, she developed a lesion on her back, which would later be diagnosed as skin cancer. She knew then that something wasn't right.
I wasn't really aware of the history of the ICI site when I took the property. I did so much investigation. I had the ground tested with my own money. There was high levels of metals in there and some obviously cancerous carcinogenics in there. They actually nicknamed me Erin Brockovich because I was so all over it.
Last year, a joint investigation was launched by the Environment Agency and the local council. That was following the discovery of PFOA, a man-made chemical that potentially causes cancer. Both parties told GB News they are now working together on this matter, whilst the company under investigation for the potential release of the substance had this to say. AGC Chemicals Europe sets the highest standards for itself and takes its commitments to the local community and to the environment extremely seriously. They added that they voluntarily phased out the use of PFOA in the UK by early 2012. Release of the substance was within the permits held by AGC Chemicals Europe at the time and also UK legislation in place at the time. And yet, 2 months ago, residents within a kilometre of the site received this letter from the council, advising them not to consume anything grown in their gardens due to potential PFOA contamination.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Another front page has just dropped. It's The Guardian, and we'll be discussing this in more detail in Ben Leo Tonight, late edition from 11 o'clock in 10 minutes. But it's been revealed that £27 billion, that's right, billion, not million, is the bill for failings in England's mother and baby care units. The potential cost since 2019 is higher than the total NHS maternity budget. I mean, what an absolute disgrace. So that's Compo, pretty much, £27 billion for failings in mother and baby care units.
Where's that come from?
Nothing seems to work, does it? Right, in the midst of bad news, let's look for some good news, shall we? Because every week on this show, when we have time, we get stuck into what's been happening in Britain that makes you feel a little bit cheery, and we'll start with Chloe. What's your good news story?
So, Powys County Council in Wales have decided to start scrapping these 20-mile-per-hour speed limits. So they've basically changed it in Wales so that everywhere that's normally 30, a quote-unquote built-up area, would all just be 20, even if there are no schools, no shops around whatsoever. There are just, lamp posts around. You have to go 20 like a snail. And the Welsh have been absolutely furious about it, and they're now having their voices heard.
So what's going on? They're scrapping the 20-mile-an-hour zones?
Yes, in this one county council.
Brilliant.
Slowly but surely, all the different councils in Wales are waking up and realising the Welsh are not going to have it.
I've got to be up early tomorrow morning. I'll have a speed awearness course.
Oh, naughty boy.
A virtual one.
They're so boring. I've done one of them. Yeah.
I should have taken the points. Right, who's next? Sammy, what's your good news story?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, funny, we were just talking about water in this country. Paris, Oslo, Rotterdam, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Basel and other cities across Europe's water has now been deemed suitable to swim in. And that is due to the, not necessarily through nationalisation, but they have municipalised parts of the water industry. And it's worked in a level that has been able to keep water clear, that sewage isn't being pumped into it because it's cooperatively owned and therefore becomes partially privatised land for the benefit of the people and not via profits.
Lovely.
It's something to aspire to in this country.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. Adam?
Mine is the residents at Salvation Army Lifehouse in Sheffield, which supports people experiencing homelessness, are getting free boxing lessons at Sheffield City Boxing Gym with coach Brendan Warburton, and this was set up by the chaplain Paul Huggins. What a great initiative, because it improves their physical and mental wellness.
And you're a keen boxer, aren't you, Adam?
Yeah, I love boxing.
I'll give you a scrap in a minute if you want.
Come on then, let's go.
See who wins. Yeah, good story. Yeah, boxing, we need something, even just kids staying fit is always a good thing. So, yeah, thank you for that. Right, mine is a pretty incredible story. A guy called Gary Stevens suffered a heart attack and collapsed at a petrol station in England. A complete stranger, Mark Taylor, he rushed to save his life, but now Mark, the guy who saved Gary's life, is marrying Gary's daughter. Gary's daughter is 26 and Mark is 34, and they're set to marry in January. But I understand Gary, the guy who Mark saved, keeping up yet, he sadly passed away now. But, yeah, the good news is that Mark has hooked up with Gary's daughter and, they're set to marry. So everything has a happy ending in the end. Thank you for your company tonight. There's still an hour left to go on Ben Leo Tonight Late Edition, and I really, really want to talk about this Guardian story. £27 billion in compo and payouts for negligence in England's mother and baby care units. That is more than the total NHS maternity budget for that period since 2019. Stick with us on Ben Leo Tonight Late Edition. Former headliner Paul Cox is joining us. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. After an unsettled and showery weekend, not a lot will change as we go into Monday, so further heavy downpours and some persistent spells of rain, courtesy of this area of low pressure that's not really moving anywhere over the next day or two, so it's going to maintain that unsettled flavour to the weather with some showers or longer spells of rain. For Sunday evening, the heaviest rain and most persistent rain will be across southern parts of Scotland, moving into Northern Ireland through the early hours as well. So it's here where we're most concerned about some flooding. There are warnings in place, so do check our website or app for further details on those. Heavy showers across the southeast of England as well later in the night, but not a cold night. Temperatures, generally speaking, holding up in the mid to high teens Celsius. So for Monday, it's going to be an unsettled start to the new working week, particularly across the southeast of England, where there'll be some pretty heavy downpours moving in from the south, so some thunderstorms already perhaps possible here. Sunny and dry conditions across parts of the Midlands, eastern parts of Wales, but further north and west, we run into that heavier rain for parts of Northern Ireland, western and southwestern Scotland, with some rain also across the far northeast of Scotland too. So not many places escaping with much in the way of dry weather first thing, and it's going to stay pretty changeable and unsettled through the course of Monday as well. That rain lingers across parts of western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and parts of southwest England for much of the day. Further east, it's a mixture of sunny spells and sudden heavy downpours, some thundery downpours too, some hail and gusty winds, but nonetheless in between the showers, in the sunshine, it should feel quite warm with temperatures in the mid